Welcome back to JDM Legends, presented by Turn 14 Distribution, where our restoration journey continues and we get this thing ready to go back in the hole. We were getting ready to bolt on the flywheel here, and having power washed everything, Pete noticed with his eagle eyes that there is a bit of oil weeping through this sealed area underneath this rear main seal housing, if you'd like to call it that. I think it's called a retainer in the manual. It doesn't look like there's any oil getting past the seal itself. It looks like it's coming from between the retainer and the lower aluminum area here.
It's just not good, man.
Not good.
Not good.
Not good. We don't want to get that on the clutch. So we're gonna pop this off, clean this up, reseal it. Maybe we change this seal too.
I think we're gonna change the seal.
I mean, this one looks brand new, but we have a new one, so might as well change it all. Just doing some careful prying around the edges here, and it is coming off. It's worked its way back on this side now. It's one of those back and forth type deals, isn't it? I think she's ready to go here. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Oh, it's just stuck on this dowel slightly here. I think I should be able to get it off there. There it goes. All right, we're free. We are free.
How's that
she's soft.
Seal feel?
Nice and soft. Yeah, I think I mean, there's quite a bit of discoloring there though, so it's not exactly brand new.
So I think it's a good thing we're changing it out then.
No harm in changing it. Well, now the challenge is cleaning up or cleaning off all of the sealant that went around here, and there's a groove, actually 2 grooves that run along this bottom mating surface, and to clean inside that groove is tough, so we're just using a little wire brush here, and it actually does quite a good job down in that groove. So you can see we jam some rags in the hole so that we don't get any of this inside of the sump. But this does clean that groove out quite well. So our mating surfaces are all cleaned up, and this was all filthy in here. I knew you guys were gonna chirp me about it, so I cleaned that up too, while Pete cleaned up this retainer housing. I want to put it in my mouth like a retainer, but I'm not going to. So this is all cleaned up and ready to go. And for a seal, we actually went to, I'll give you 3 guesses. Turn 14, and Turn 14 for this Cometic seal kit, which includes the big rear main seal that we're gonna use. So thanks again, Turn 14. You bailed us out again with your quick delivery. And now it's time for, I'm gonna go with Peter putting the seal in here, because he's got more patience for this kind of job than I do.
One quick thing to note here, this is the OE seal. This is the one that Cometic supplies. You can see it is a little bit thicker. And I kind of like that. You can, with this ridge here, without the, I guess it's like the silicone or whatever, the seal that is around it, it slides in much, much nicer. So I kind of get a straighter seal right now. What I'm gonna do is use a wheel spacer here, and then now tap it in place, and I think that's gonna be the way to go here to try to keep it all flat. So you can see the seal is in, it's nice and flush. Sorry, my hand is in the way there just because I've got the Honda Bond out. Last episode we used this to seal it up, and the tricky part here is, realistically, the way you're supposed to do this is this upper oil pan is supposed to be off. So right now, putting this on, you can create a leak down here like we had, unfortunately. So I've kind of been a little bit, like, use my finger out here. Normally you wouldn't do that. So I'm hoping that that's gonna work for us. And now it's just a matter of sliding this on and getting it in place here. All right, I do have it on there, squeezing it in.
With that drama dealt with, it is now time to bolt up our flywheel and clutch. And for that, we've gone to spec clutches, which is, man, we've run these things in just about every project car we've built since we started Speed Academy, and that's because we really like them. They perform well, and we have yet to have one fail on us. This is their Stage 2 Plus friction disc, which you can see uses 2 different materials. On the one side, we've got this carbon metallic material, and on this side, we have a Kevlar material. That's designed to give you better holding power than the Stage 2, like 15 to 20% better than the Stage 2, but still give you excellent drivability. And in this case, it also has 699 foot-pounds of holding capacity, so more than enough torque capacity than what we're aiming for in this build. And you can see it also comes with this aluminum flywheel. This is a single mass flywheel, so we are doing away with the dual mass. So it'll be interesting to see if we do pick up any kind of NVH going to a single mass. But what we may pick up with a bit of NVH, we're going to lose in mass, because holy cow, this whole setup, pressure plate, disc, and flywheel weigh 34 pounds, and the OE stuff weighs 51 pounds. So there's a 17-pound weight savings by going to this spec setup. That is pretty huge. Well, we're learning some things here, guys. One of which is, it looks like you can actually just pull this shift lever fork out of here, and you'd be able to remove the transmission like you would on a normal car without having to like come in through the window, take all those bolts off for the pressure plate and do it that way, which is the way they do it on the service manual. But when we were putting it all back together, Pete and I were looking at it and we're like, why can't we just bolt the clutch, the pressure plate on there and smash this in there like we would normally? And so we decided to give it a try. And at first we thought, oh, maybe there's a reason for this. Turns out no, the transmission bell housing was just hitting on a piece of wood here. Once we moved that back, we were able to put it on with the pressure plate bolted to the flywheel and the clutch in place, obviously, too. As you can see, the engine is back in its home, and this is an exciting time. We've even put the lower intake manifold in place, and that's because it's time to build out our fuel system. Starting with this. This is, of course, a Radium Engineering fuel rail, and as you can see, it is a beautiful billet piece, black anodized with laser etching details on it. All of their stuff is so beautiful, and we've equipped it with a couple of optional goodies here, including their fuel pulse damper. It's actually a really interesting piece of tech. I just read up on their website because I wanted to kind of better understand how it works, but basically what happens is when the fuel injectors open and close, that open and closing can cause pulses in your fuel system, and those pulses can lead to, say, an inconsistent idle quality, or like a sort of intermittent and difficult to track down lean rich condition higher up in the RPM range, or different parts of your fuel map.
I have that in the M3 2J car.
Do you?
Yeah, around like 2,000 RPM. So
do you
good
have
to
a
know.
damper?
I don't.
See, we just fixed your problem, buddy. So having read that, I'm like, wow, that's pretty awesome. And I've had those problems on cars before too, when deleting the factory damper off of the fuel line. So as a matter of fact, it's giving me thoughts about the Flexus. Anyway, I'm getting off track. The point is, this is a very clever device. It comes in a couple of different varieties, and it will just make fuel pressure consistent all the time, make your tuner's life easier, make your drivability experience better. And as far as installation goes, this guy here is going to make your life easier too, because this is their direct fit fuel pressure regulator. It's adjusted in the standard way a fuel pressure regulator is, but it's designed to adapt directly to the end of the fuel rail, and it has this awesome new swivel fitting. So this thing is tightened down, but you can still swivel this part of the fitting.
Yeah, on both ends.
On both ends here too, that's right. You can swivel this as well. So it makes setup and routing your lines just so much easier, because if you guys have worked with AN fittings as much as we have in AN lines, it can be a little bit of a struggle. Like you end up with lots of adapters and angles and stuff, and this is just such a clean way to do it. Just loading our injectors into the rail here, and for those, we have gone with Injector Dynamics 1300X. Their X series is their motorsport grade injectors that are built in a direct partnership with Bosch Motorsport. So these guys are not messing around. This is not your off-the-shelf Bosch EV14 injector, though it does share that same basic architecture. Internally, this thing is completely different from those, so don't confuse
you know, a 1300cc Bosch from some other company with these X series 1300s from ID. There is unique internal parts on this that have been designed by Bosch and by ID, and some of those parts are actually manufactured in-house at ID. Really, the secret sauce with these is that they were engineered very specifically for motorsports use, and what that means is they're able to deliver the best performance possible across a very broad performance range. And one of the other big advantages to that broad range of performance is that they work exceptionally well at idle or at like very low fuel mass requirements. This is not a paid promotion for Injector Dynamics. This is literally us just trying to choose and use the best possible injectors we can, because we have had issues on the dyno that Sasha said, guys, it's the injectors. So with that being the case, we just want to use the best possible injector we can in every build we do now.
If you guys haven't watched our videos, you will know we always use Vibrant for all our fuel line needs, and this is no exception. And I'm just going to start off by finishing off the rail here. I really like their, I don't know if this is new or not, but this is called the Slimline plug, and what it's going to do is just go on the end here. We're trying to keep this thing looking as clean as possible for obvious reasons. And you'll see that's gonna look really nice there. And instead, what I would usually do is put a feed line here, but then you've gotta run a line down there. And what I'm gonna do is put that line, because the amazing guys at Radium have designed this fuel rail to have provisions in the center here. And I'm gonna put this guy right in the middle. And for those of you wondering, it does not matter where you put your feed line, whether it's here, here, or here. As long as you're feeding pressurized fuel, it is going to meet the demands of your fuel system. If you are building a high horsepower Supra, then something like this from Radium is the way to go. This is a Dash 10 fuel filter, and it flows to the moon. And what Radium actually offers is this direct mount case here that will bolt right up in replace of your factory fuel filter. But because we aren't going so high horsepower, we're just gonna actually replace our factory fuel filter with this one. So with our new fuel filter installed there, you will notice we do not have an AN out. And Vibrant, of course, makes this little banjo fitting that has an M12 by 1.25 thread, and of course a Dash 8 AN, which will line up perfectly with our fuel rail. And you can see we are using a Dash 8 PTFE 90-degree turn on here. And when I bolt all this up, it's gonna give us a great spot and location to run the hose to here. We're gonna have like a perfect little shot to go up like that. And if you're wondering, what is PTFE hose versus the normal braided hose? Well, I'm gonna save you the spiel. If you go to Mike from StanceWorks channel, he just did an ultimate guide on AN fittings and talked about this kind of stuff. So link in the top right corner. So I have cut our Vibrant PTFE lined hose here to length. I think it's the right length. And real quick, I'll show you. This is the regular braided line with the rubber. And you can see the difference in size. It's crazy, right? Like, look at that. And that's really the huge advantage of this. And what I'm gonna do now is put this 90-degree fitting on here, and it does require an extra little step. Like, this little ferrule has to be inserted into here. I need to peel back some of that braid around it, and then we can put this all together. Okay, so with that now in place, I'm gonna hook this up down below once again, and then we're gonna see if this line fits the part here.
This is what Pete talking to an engine bay looks like, everybody. Beautiful view of the back of his head and his white and blue stripy t-shirt that ended up in the rag bag. And I didn't know you were so preppy, PT. Look at that thing, eh?
Yeah, it's
like early
nice
2000s.
linen.
Did you have boat shoes to go with that shirt?
It's got, it might even have a V-neck DP.
Oh man.
Yeah, one of the few shirts, I think that's why it made it to the bin. I thought I was gonna be cool wearing the V-neck, but I never did, so.
Couldn't pull that look off.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
The only time I wore a striped shirt, when I went to prison for ripping too much VTEC.
So the length looks like it's going to be perfect. However, we do have a bit of an issue here. You can see these high flow 90-degree bends for the PTFE line have presented a bit of a problem here in the form of we have contact against this bolt, one of the bolts on the intake manifold. It's super close. Like you can see, if I tried to nudge it a little bit more, it would go, but I don't want to try. You don't want to cross thread these. So instead, what I think I'm going to do is Vibrant does offer this in a -8 ORB fitting here, a male end, and then that will eliminate the need for me to screw the adapter into the fuel rail. So I think that's probably the best way to go. I'll see what they have or what's available. So we kind of have the same problem on the return side where we have an AN fitting here and we have a slip-on hardline here. I don't know if you guys can see that very well, but the solution is to use one of these fittings, which is an AN fitting to hardline adapter, and there's this little crush washer. Actually, you know what? I have it right here. It's not inside there, but it goes in between there and it'll crush onto that hard line, and then you'll have an AN fitting. So it's kind of brilliant. So to remove that little lip on the end of that hard line, I've got this brake line tool cutting.
The tube cutter.
Tube cutter. There you go, Dave. Good one. My brain couldn't get that out. So I'm gonna go back and forth here, spin this around and around, keep tightening it up. So as you can see, I did cut that front piece off of the return line right here. And now what I'm gonna do is put the one end of the Vibrant fitting on. Now come in with the acorn and then slide that on there. You gotta get it pretty straight. So you can see I messed that one up. I'm gonna have to try again. Once you get it nice and straight, it'll slide on, and then I can put the other piece on there. And now we screw this together, and as that tightens, it's gonna make a seal on that little acorn there, and it'll give us a 6AN fitting. And there you have it. We have our return line complete. And man, the days of struggling to build a fuel system are gone because of companies like Radium Auto and Vibrant that now have so many of these solutions. Like you guys just saw, you know, a bolt-on regulator onto the rail, no lines where you have to bolt on a regulator, then like build out lines to go here. This is all turnkey. You know, aside from one fitting here, this fuel system is complete, which is really, really awesome. And would you look at that quick update? Here is our new fitting. You can see it's a banjo style one, of course, from Vibrant, and it's just gonna give me just enough real estate to put this thing in here. So you can see with plenty of room to fit up just like that. The final piece of our fuel system is an actual fuel pressure sensor from Link. This is their 10-bar unit, and if you guys haven't guessed, we are going to be going with a Link plug-and-play ECU, which means we are gonna have the capability to monitor a bunch of things, and fuel pressure is a very, very important one of them. All right, guys, we have once again run out of time, and that means it is officially a wrap on this episode. Thanks for hanging in with us through all of the thick and thin of putting this motor together, getting this fuel system done. This is shaping up to be a really awesome build. If you did make it to the end of the video, post in the comments, made it to the end. Let us know, guys, because we want to know if you guys are bailing halfway through or if you're making it to the end of these videos. And also let us know, do you find a lot of this information good for you or a little bit too boring? Are we telling you too much information, not enough information? Let us know, guys, because we're always trying to improve our videos. In the next one, it is going to be full steam ahead. Again, trying to get this engine back together. We've got a really cool fuel pump upgrade that we're gonna be doing as well. So hang in there and we'll see you in the next one.